So we'll start with a nigun, a melody, and for some of you who have been singing together virtually, you might be used to this a little bit. If you're not, it's a little bit different because you're just going to hear me singing, and I want to invite you to sing along in your house. I know it can be a little awkward to be singing along when you're just by yourself here, but it's the truth is let's see. The truth is that we're all connected, and we share a similar presence all together. So we can there's a way that we're together, and we can sense each other even as we're singing. If you haven't tried it, try this one more time through. If your eyes aren't already closed, go ahead and close them. And the quality that we're exploring today is shiflut, or humility. And just want to invite you to keep your eyes closed, and I'll share with you a little piece from Martin Buber, which comes from an essay that he wrote called The Life of the Hasidim. And he says, the individual who sees God embraces God. The individual redeems the fallen worlds. And yet the individual is not a whole, but a part. And the pure and more perfect he or she is, so much the more intimately does he or she know that he is a part, and so much the more actively there stirs in him and her the community of existence. This is the mystery of humility. Every person has a light over them. And when the souls of two people meet, the two lights join each other, and from there goes forth one light. And this is called generation. To feel the universal generation as a sea and oneself as a wave. That is the mystery of humility. But it is not humility when one lowers himself too much and forgets that a person can bring down an overflowing blessing on all the world through his or her words and actions. This is called impure humility. The greatest evil is when you forget that you are the son, the daughter of a king. The one who is truly humble, who feels the other as himself and himself or herself in the other. So when we talk about humility, we're not speaking about some idea of ourself as being lower or less than, but humility is about knowing that we are a wave in the ocean, and that the ocean of humanity, of the cosmos, of life, we are one expression of that ocean, just as everything else, from people to animals to plants to all, is another expression, another wave in the ocean. And that's the place of shiflut, of humility, anava. So begin checking in and becoming aware of your own breath. Just noticing where the air enters the nostrils or your mouth. Notice the way the body gently expands to make room for the inhale. And as you exhale, notice the breath as it goes out and the body's contraction as the air leaves. And follow each cycle of breath with your attention. Again, not only noticing the passage of air through your nose or your mouth, but the expansion of the chest, the belly. Notice as you breathe the position of your body, the contact of your bottom on the chair, your feet on the floor, the distance between the bottom of your spine and the top of your head, the resting place of your hands, and the breath expanding and contracting the body. In this moment, you just have to pay attention to what is here, body, breath. And also begin to be aware of the space around you without opening your eyes. You may be aware of the space around you through sound. It might be the ticking of a clock or a dog barking outside or other people in the house moving around. It may be aware of the presence around you through noticing air as it touches your face or your skin. And as you notice your body in space and your breath in space, notice how you claim your experience. My breath, my body, my sensations. Even if you don't say that in your mind, notice the way that you identify with the experience you're having as yours, as your own. Where you may also conceive of the phenomenon around you, the sounds you hear, the air in your face, as not you. try for a moment to completely give up identification with your experience. Meaning it's not my breath anymore, it's just breath. It's not the tension or the pressure in my shoulders or neck right now. It's just tension, pressure, shoulders. Allow yourself to just be with what is here without claiming ownership. It's just phenomenon unfolding, existence unfolding moment by moment. And as you let go of claiming ownership of your breath, of your body, allow that phenomenon to just coexist with everything outside of your body and experience. The sounds, the life around you, all of it is just unfolding as it is. And what you would normally label as my experience, it just becomes part of the sea of existence, of life, unfolding. And as you just witness all of the unfolding of life without labeling, without owning or claiming, open to the possibility that everything is filled with God, that everything is alive, energy, intelligence, presence, and that that one presence, that echad that we call God, is present in it all, in the breath, in the body, in the dogs or the kids outside, in the sounds, in the air, in the cells inside, the nerves, everything. And even the one that is witnessing all of this, even the one that registers all of these experiences, that witness, that awareness, is also presence, is also God, is also the eternal. I'm going to be quiet for a little bit. And the practice is to continue to open up to your field of experience, always having the awareness of breath at the center, without claiming it as my experience, but open to it, being with it. There's a forgetting of oneself that comes when you don't claim mine. And in order to forget ourselves, to really let go, we need to be able to have that knowing in us that all will continue to unfold, that we can trust the presence that pervades everything, that we don't have to have control, that we don't have to categorize, that we don't have to label or separate in order to exist. And that maybe through the process, we claim a truer identity, one that is the wave in the ocean, And if you find your attention drifting into a thought or any particular direction, as soon as you are aware of that you're in a story or a particular thought or picture pattern, just open up again to breath, to body. Allow yourself, as you open up beyond whatever thought that you're thinking of, to be able to let go of ownership of the thought. It's not my thought, it's just particular thought, fantasy, pattern, direction, whatever it is. And you bring your attention back to the whole, to everything happening in this moment. And the awareness that is present. We'll be quiet for a few more minutes together. So we're gonna, at this point, take 10 minutes or so for short discussion and sharing. One of the things that I think is just fantastic about these Zoom experiences is the way that even though we're all in different parts geographically, whether that's Orange County or Florida, we're here. We're occupying the same space. We are, we are connected. And the truth is that this is the way it is all the time. Meaning that we may not be aware of the connection. We may not be aware that we have these ties because we're in our own physical space and we're moving forward with whatever it is that we're doing. But the truth is that all of us are occupying the same space. And all this is taking is a combination between attention and technology to make that manifest to our own awareness and our own consciousness. And so even in the meditation, even though it was silent, I didn't hear the breathing. My experience too was I did not feel alone. And I didn't feel alone in the same way, not just as an idea that I know everybody's here with me, but in the same way that when somebody very quietly you may be sitting in your room and somebody comes quietly in and you don't actually hear them come in to the room, but you feel that there's a presence in the room. You feel that you're not alone, and that same kind of presence was part of my experience, even as I'm looking at 12 squares on my screen right now. So it's neat to note that. So here's a question. How do you see this practice, the practice of being aware and present of your experience, but not owning it? And remember that not owning may be the thoughts or the ideas that you have in your mind. We hold so tightly to what our thoughts or ideas in our mind are. This idea of they're thoughts and ideas. They're not necessarily mine. They're just thoughts and ideas that are occurring within me right now, or any part of our experience, moment to moment. How do you see the translating into everyday life, to outside of meditation, or the possible translating of how this practice can affect the way that you move in the world and the way that you interact with other people? The actual experience on a moment to moment, whether it's with your family or out in the world right now. I notice sometimes in this time when I'm even just taking a walk, sometimes there are people that are, like it's not enough that we're keeping 6 feet distance, but it's like some people don't even want to smile or look or connect, almost as if the connection could give you the virus, in some way. And like in that moment, to be able to see and know everyone is all part of this experience. Whether you got the coronavirus or you don't got it, you're all part of that unfolding. And can we move forward? Is it change the way that our hearts are open, the way that we connect with other people, to be able to see everybody and everything as part of that divine presence. Yeah, thank you. Every meditation practice that's worth its weight in salt, from whether it's from Jewish tradition or from anything, all begins with an awareness of breath. Because what the idea that we're in meditation is to be present, to be with what is in some way. That's the foundation of it all. And breath is just a repetitive, solid, grounded kind of experience of our moment to moment life. So whenever, we spin out in our minds, and that's really a lot of our challenge during this time, is how do we spin out with all of the different fantasies of what might happen, the anxiety, all of those. You're just saying, just to continue to remember, bring it back to that experience of breath when you get out there. And this is what is. And there's nothing to, this is not a fight or flight experience right in this moment. Everything's okay. We can't escape our point of view. We're always going to have a point of view. And that's just, part of human. And there's nothing bad about having a point of view. I think that the practice of humility is just realizing always that that my point of view is not the whole shebang. And this practice of letting go of the ownership of my point of view, to just say, I have a point of view. There's a very different, and even I have a point of view is still having some ownership. But the more that there's space between awareness, presence of who I am, whatever that means, as long as there's a space between that and the point of view in any given moment, the less tightly we hold to that point of view in any given moment, the more willing we are able to hear other points of view, take in other information, be open to it, because we're not as invested in having to see things this particular way. And then suddenly our point of view becomes more permeable, more open. And that absolutely is this experience of humility. Okay. Well, this has been wonderful, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing the morning. I think that these kinds of calls and connections are really important. It's really important, as we're going through, not only for our own, getting our own kind of sustenance through, through the meditation and different points of view, but just to be together. So, with like minds. So I wish everybody a beautiful day. Feel free to reach out and connect, in any ways through texts or phone calls or any of that. I'm also available, and look forward to seeing you again.